Make sure this is on. Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teaching this truth with sincerity. And shout out to Yakims out there in the four quarters that you have to proclaim this truth. Rakah the Yahweh, Rakah the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kadash, Brakatam. You know, it's a no-brainer that Trump says one thing and does another because they are losing the war. Both the Israeli state and the U.S. are losing the war, and they have no allies whatsoever. Very few. Very few. The U.K. may have joined in, may not have. Then you got maybe a couple others that might. But for the most part, they're very reluctant because they see that, indeed, they don't have the hedge of protection. Yeah, the U.S. pretends to be this hedge of protection when really they're only interested in Israeli interests. They're not interested in anybody else. And that's what they're learning. And it's like, why even have a NATO? He's threatening to take Greenland, for that matter, you know, and just being a bully. And you already see that a bully, what does he do? Becomes a cry baby, you know, and that's all he does is just, you know, he bawls every time he doesn't get his way. So that's what you got going on here. Nero has definitely got himself in a shit pickle they can't get out of, and they're losing interceptors. They're losing every way possible. But you see, that's all part of the plan. It's part of the Most High's plan to exhaust Esau and then to completely destroy him. And that's what you got here. They're fighting the Medes and the Persians in the Persian Gulf. As this guy has a sense of humor with his videos, but you know, making fun of the news, right? You know, because it's hilarious. And definitely I recommend subscribing to Gerald Salente, who gives you a breakdown and he tells you what's bullshit and what isn't, man. And he doesn't hold anything back. That's what I like about his videos. And we believe him to be a Jake anyways. You know, just the way that he has a breakdown.
So it looks like Cuba is next.
Yep, Cuba may be next.
What's going on now?
Because you could be my
having the honor of taking Cuba.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. What in the world's going on here? As, of course, we're dealing with a lot of craziness, a lot of madness, as there's two possible scenarios unfolding right in front of our eyes. One is that this war's done. Negotiations are good. Everything's hunky-dory. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
Option two.
Or is it Trump bullshit?
I don't want option two. I want option one. Now, Donald Trump is saying a lot of stuff, but people always make mistakes. But Donald Trump says a lot of things. Donald Trump, he's like that bipolar girlfriend. It's like, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. We're bombing you. We're going to work out a deal. We won. It's not a war. Regime change. No regime. I don't want that.
Yep, exactly.
Carol got PPD. She is off her rocker. Donald Trump, that's a very interesting statement that we're going to talk about in this particular video. And we're going to tell you what we think most likely is going to be happening here. If you appreciate these types of videos, subscribe.
Subscribe to survive, right?
Okay,
here we go.
Media broadcast here, because truly it's a very wild situation that we're doing our best to make sense of here. Because now Trump is claiming that Iran has agreed to one of his biggest demands, in that the war is won. Now, he says he settled it, but he said that before. He makes very weird statements where, the way I've kind of understood it is he's speaking to two crowds of people, right? He's speaking to the people who are worried about this, saying we're done, and then he's speaking to like the hardcore neocons, the Mark Levins, Ben Shapiro's, and BBs over the world that are like, more. The Rupert Murdochs, Marion Andelsons that are like, more. BB's come out and says, I'm going to decide when this is over. And to me, I think he's just saying whatever he needs to say to placate both sides here. Now, is that what's happening now? As this is what the President of the United States declared?
Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you.
No, I think we're going to end it. I guess maybe eventually, sometime down the road, something's going to happen. It's got to be ended. Currently, what's going on right now is the U.S. is bombing the crap out of it.
Or America's going to be ended, right?
Kind of bombing and just waiting to see what happens, right? But the Iranians are entrenched. They look like they could go on for a long time. That's why Trump is talking about bombing their energy infrastructure, because they can't be underground when they have no energy. Now, bombing the energy infrastructure will mean the Iranians will bomb other energy pieces of infrastructure in the Middle East and then plunge the world into total chaos and economic disarray. And that's been their kind of strategy as they close the Strait of Hormuz, as our kind of goalpost moved from regime change to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Trump's negotiation probably is no nuclear weapon, open up the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's like, give us money. And there's probably going to be a deal like that made eventually, whether now or September. Again, people like to nitpick. They're like, like Trump. I like him to end the war. That's why we're going to say he just ended the war. He's not. The war's still continuing. The bombs are still dropping.
For sure. I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times,
the fake news isn't the one dropping the bombs there, okay? The fake news isn't sending the planes there. Isn't sending U.S. Marines that are soon going to be there. That's where everything gets put into question, right?
The New York Times is like, we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country.
Now, Trump likes to say that they're done. Bibi's government is literally releasing videos be like, look at how they're hitting us. Look how hard they're hitting us after doing a blockade of media coverage on the Iranian hits against Bibi. Which is also strange here, right? Because there's been like a total blackout, satellite blackout, military updates that we've seen in Ukraine. They're not going on with Iran. And the number of people have been arrested in the Middle East for documenting what's happening in Iran. And the Iranian strikes that have been happening in the Middle East. People in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, in Bibi's country have been arrested for videotaping. Now, Bibi is releasing that video footage for the world to see, which is strange here.
They can't do a thing about it. For instance, if I want to take down that power plant, that very big, powerful power plant, they can't do a thing about it.
Estimates are that they could last till September. That's why my estimates are, the worst case scenario, this is going to go on till September.
It's like, take me. That's all they can do. And yet, if you read the New York Times or if you watch ABC...
Now, Trump saying he's going to do this created a lot of panic in the markets. Right before the markets came out, Trump says, we got a deal. Which one is it?
Fake news or NBC fake news, you'd say it's a close battle. It's not a close battle. They're totally defeated. We killed their Navy in, would you say 3 days, Pete? Gone. In fact, I was a little upset with Pete. I said, why didn't you save the ships? We could have used them, right? He says
it's more fun to blow them up.
Yeah, because the war's fun, remember?
Just costing here, and we could have had naval vessels. We could have had more navies. But we were like, it's more fun to blow them up. The Iranians were like, we're participating in a war game. And with the U.S., and the U.S. is like, hey, we're not participating. Oh, you're disarmed? Yeah, we're just going to bomb you. Boom. Yeah. Anyway, before playing the rest of that clip and the two type of possibilities here, we just really wanted to tell you about WeAreChange.shop.
Oh, like everything else, so you got a general idea. Just breaking down just some of the more recent events, right? Says one thing, does another, right? But nonetheless, though, you got all this going on with the economy. Learn why the globalists are artificially suppressing the price of silver and gold while buying as much as they can. So, like everything else, though, it looks like Kirk was recently on the show. And you already know this guy, he tells you what to invest in. But they're going to break it down a little bit and why, of course, gold.
I mean, this pullback that we've seen just brings us back to where we were the end of December. Like, literally, silver at the beginning of the year on January 1st was $71 an ounce. Really close to that. It's not like years of growth. In January of 25, silver was $28 an ounce. People forget how much it's grown, right? So this doesn't bother me at all because it's a temporary blip, because the fundamentals of the market haven't changed.
The globalists admit they use COVID to derail Trump's recovery plan. They don't want prosperity. They want austerity, great reset. He's being advised one-dimensionally, Iran's bad, they could have weapons, let's take them out. Okay. Why they bought the Strait of Hormuz? He wasn't even warned about that. Then he says we've won, then it just continues.
Yeah,
but the globalists above this, they're making record profits. This is this long term is going to bring in the cashless society. This is clearly how the establishment is going after enemy Iran and sabotaging American hegemony and really killing Trump's great 1776 plan. Do you agree with that statement?
So how do you protect yourself from that? You have to get out of the system as we know it. You have to get out of this paper system. Banks are undercapitalized. You go into tangible assets. When this trend starts to happen, even what Putin is doing, what other countries are doing, allocating into precious metals, they will go up in time, Alex. And just don't let these day-to-day fluctuations scare you.
Just like everything else, though. You know what happens when gold and silver goes up, right? That means that they're going to get rid of the money system. That they're, you already know about the dumping of the dollar, but here we go. Also, don't forget, Trump is, destroying Cuba because of the fact that he wants to take it over. Cubans face darkest hour as U.S. blockade strangles island. After Gaza, Venezuela, and the war against Iran, Cuba's braced for what's next as solidarity flotillas bring emergency supplies. So that's the only thing they've allowed in is a few flotillas. Inside darkness, the room fell silent for a moment. No one spoke. Then a voice rang out from the front. Cuba, yes. Blockade, no. It caught on quickly, filling the room. Kneecap had led the crowd outside the chants of Free Palestine, Viva Cuba, and Fuck Trump. Now in the dark, the politics of the moment were all too clear. The U.S. and Israeli state went to war against Iran at the end of February. At the same time, U.S. President Trump tightened the oil blockade against Cuba, part of a wider sanctions regime that they had constrained fuel, finance, and imports of any and all goods. Cubans can feel the noose tightening. The U.S. has aided and abetted the genocide against Gaza and the ongoing annexation of the West Bank. It has taken out Maduro in Venezuela and is waging war against Iran. Last week, Trump said he would have the honor of taking Cuba. Whether I free it, take it, I think I can do anything I want with it. They're a weakened nation right now. So, he's saying he can have his way with them. So, definitely you can see how bad this is. But that's what the U.S. does. It's the hammer of the whole earth. Most powerful energy crisis in human history is looming. And this is coming from the envoy, from the Russian envoy. The EU and UK are unprepared and face deindustrialization after rejecting Russian oil and gas. Dmitriev has said, the world is headed towards the most severe energy crisis in history, and Europe is unprepared. Kremlin envoy Dmitriev said, the warning comes as the escalating conflict in the Mideast has driven volatility in global energy markets. So, like everything else. Back then, no one believed, he said, adding that some market participants are now discussing the possibility of prices rising to $150 or even $200 a barrel. We said that the most severe energy crisis in the history of mankind is approaching. Neither the EU nor the UK is at all prepared for it. Dmitry said on the sidelines that the RDIF, Congress, Brussels, and London shot themselves in the foot by rejecting Russian oil and gas, and the consequences are only the beginning to emerge, he added. So they're going to plunge into darkness, just exactly what the U.S. is doing to Cuba. You see, and this is going to cause them to hate the whore and burn her with fire because, they listened to him, right? And not to mention his plans, which he said because they wouldn't help, he's going to take Greenland. This is what, Nero told him. Trump says Iran asked him to be the next supreme leader, but he refused. He's, got ludicrous behavior here. He just really full of himself, right? Donald Trump made a series of ludicrous claims during the Iran war. This may be the biggest yet. Yeah, he said that they asked him to be the supreme leader. No, I know who the supreme leader is, and it ain't him. U.S. President Trump claimed that Iran wants him to be the next supreme leader in a swipe at the apparent dangers of being the head of the Iranian government. There's never been a head of a country that won the job less than being the head of Iran, Trump told the audience. We'll listen to some of the things that they say we hear very clearly. They say, I don't want it. We'd like you to be the next supreme leader. No, thank you. I don't want it. So like everything else, Trump is going on with his funny jokes, because this war is fun. It's fun and games, and it's, it's cracking him up, and he is cracking up. But who's really fighting the war? Is Trump, Melania, or any of his kids fighting it? No. You're the expendables, right? They want to send you. Trump says attacking Iran is insane and could trigger World War III. Yeah, he said that once, doing another. President goes on to warn that the globalist forces want to get America into a war, so our republic goes completely bankrupt and has to submit to the Great Reset. Yeah, he spoke on all these things, and this has caused Alex to even question. It's like, well, you're saying one thing and doing another. Right, because you can't trust him, right? But we'll play
Don't shake your finger at me and tell me I'm not an American, pal. I'm related to the people that conquered Europe directly. And I'm an American. And this is our country.
America!
You don't tell me
yeah.
I'm not an American, punk. Don't you do it. sack of shit.
Oh boy, he's even funny. Well, let's just catch some of this.
We got a new Trump here. They bubble wrapped him. And you see, he wants the off ramp. The Iranians don't. Let's play a short clip of Trump talking about globalism. Here it is.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists.
Who's the greatest
and deep
warmonger
state.
now?
These globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure, chasing monsters and phantoms overseas. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad. Our opponents join with warmongers and neocons to wage endless wars, these wars that never end. Our policy of never-ending war, regime change and nation building is being replaced by the clear-eyed pursuit of American interests. There you go.
All right, let's stop there.
It is the job of our...
I can play hours of this. Vote for Kamala, it's war with Iran. The neocons, they're the... Oh, who is the chief neocon in America now? Because the other one's dead, Rumsfeld, Cheney, all of them. It's Mark Levin.
Oh.
And Benny Shapiro.
And Donald Trump.
And Dan Borgino, whatever his name is. Bongiorno.
Or just to face it,
And
that Trump lied to you. You gotta crack up at this, but yeah, Trump did say all those things, right? Completely did the opposite. That's why a lot of people are turning against him, right? Including Tucker Carlson. But here we go. He's breaking down Alex Jones. Yeah, the same comedian is breaking down Alex Jones. What Alex Jones just broke changes everything, right? Or does it? So, like everything else, though, well, you know, Trump says one thing and another, right? But here we go again. I guess they made a Lego movie, right?
So much cringe and insanity, especially when it comes to the disinformation that's being pushed right now during this conflict, as of course, it's very hard to even assess and understand what in the world's really going on, and we're going to be doing our best to kind of break it all down for you with what people are saying, what is going to be happening next year, as we are dealing with a disinformation superstorm, as Donald Trump has more language that confuses people, as we're starting to ask the question, what's really going on here, as the administration and their lackeys are taking their turns trying to attack Jill Kent, as Donald Trump had some very interesting comments about Jill Kent today, as Andrew Kovolt potentially now highlighted how he was maybe even the leader behind an infamous text message exchange about who was potentially responsible for Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now, the text against Jill Kent are pretty telling here, as even Alex Jones has come out here and talked about this kind of disinformation superstorm that's not even contesting things that Donald Trump is saying himself. How do we make sense of this all? We're going to do our best here on this independent media broadcast. If you appreciate that, subscribe, click the notification button. Great made by Donald Trump talking about how negotiations are good. We're going to cease these major attacks. There was a big ultimatum over the weekend. It looks like the ultimatum was walked back, and people have two type of understandings from Trump's comments about the negotiations. One is that Trump lied in order to save the markets, in order to make sure that
and now April 8th
prices don't
one more week
to spiral out of control. Another understanding.
No, that's a Wednesday. April 8th is a Wednesday.
Seeing an internal power struggle in real time. Now, some people, depending on where you are, what your viewpoint is of all this political type of gesturing and posturing here and statements about this being a war and not being a war and about being an excursion and operation, but it was a 47-year-old war. Like, it's just all getting so tiresome, right? Because it's like the messaging is so inconsistent. But again, Trump just claimed this morning negotiations were good. The Iranians are calling this fake news as a way to manipulate the financial and oil markets. Who do you believe? Are the Iranians actually negotiating? They say they're not. But this is the latest comments we're getting from Donald Trump about this current conflict.
At their Air Force, we knocked out their anti-aircraft. We knocked out everything.
Yeah, they sure did.
With fury, actually.
Yeah, how are they still fighting back then, right? As there has been a number of people that have been arrested for talking and sharing information and data, specifically about the things that have been happening in the Middle East.
As I announced earlier, based on preliminary conversations between the United States and Iran over the past 2 days, I've directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against major energy and electricity targets.
Till April 8 now.
Very, very big, new, actually, and very expensive. Billions of dollars it costs to build them one missile, one of our powerful ones, and it comes down to the ground like it was made.
Same one that hit the school.
But to determine whether a broader agreement can be reached, we've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know my whole life has been a negotiation, but
The Iranians are saying there are no negotiations. We're not talking to anybody. Trump was asked, hey, who are you speaking to? He's like, I don't want to tell you because they're going to get us assassinated. You're the president of the United States. You're the commander-in-chief. You're the head honcho here. Or is somebody else trying to stall and destroy these negotiations?
with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time, and this time they mean business. And it's only because of the great job that our military did. It's the reason they mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done.
Yep, hiding out in hotels. They're doing a great job.
I hope's the key word there. As right now, a lot of the administration official lackeys, like Dan Bongino, are going out there and attacking Joe Kent. Now, Donald Trump was asked about Joe Kent recently. He had some very pointed criticisms of him to make here, which I think highlight, because this is not a good look, right? When you're on the defense, when you're responding to criticism, you're not on the offense. But also, most importantly, it's like, why are we spending our time dealing with pushing back against the guy who clearly looks like he is trying to prevent escalations here?
Mr. President, do you know whether Joe Kent was leaking?
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at it, and you never cover this.
Now, Andrew Cuomo has some interesting things to say about the leaking stuff, right? Because now there's a leak investigation that was announced right after he resigned, which is just weird, because if he is investigated for leaking, right, I don't know, it's just weird keeping him in there until he actually leaves, and then announcing that he's going to be investigated for leaking. I just don't get it. Anyway, before getting into a lot more of the Joe Kent saga and the latest comments by TPUSA, before getting into all that and a lot more, we just quickly wanted to tell you about TakeCalm.com.
There we go. So, like everything else, though, you can see that, indeed, it's all breaking down, and so they planning to do so-called surprise attack ground troops, right? But it's not such a secret if Iran knows about it, right? But they think that this is going to actually, open the Strait of Hormuz or move towards it. U.S. preparing major escalation against Iran that could include ground troops and intensified bombing. Yeah, that's what Trump said. U.S. and other U.S. officials, other sources speaking to Axios reported Barak Mavad, former IDF intelligence officer, described the potential escalation as a final blow that would give Trump more leverage and room to declare the victory, invading or blockading Karg Island, Iran's main oil export hub. Invading Lerak, an island that helps Iran solidify its control of the Strait of Hormuz. Number 3, seizing the strategic island of Abu Musa. 4, blocking or seizing ships that are exporting Iranian oil to the eastern side of the Hormuz Strait. So, like everything else, though, this is what they think they can accomplish. Another operation considered is sending troops deep inside Iran to secure Tehran's stockpile of enriched uranium, though it is believed to be buried under rubble following the June 2025 airstrikes. So it's unclear if a team of U.S. Special Operations would be able to access the material. So, like everything else, President Trump is ready to unleash hell on Iran. But it's scaling back to about April 8 while planning this secret operation. It's not such a secret. About 5,000 U.S. Marines and several thousand U.S. Army airborne soldiers appear to be on their way to the Middle East as the Pentagon prepares for ground attacks. And sending additional 10,000 ground troops. In the meantime, U.S.-Israeli strikes continue to pound Iran, and the Iranian military continues to launch successful attacks against Israeli state and U.S. bases across the region, which has resulted to the brave soldiers hiding out in hotel rooms. Pentagon weighs sending another 10,000 ground troops, just as I read before, suggesting seizing Iran-controlled islands. Pentagon is looking to send an additional 10,000 ground troops to the Middle East. So, like everything else, Just hours before President Trump said he's pausing strikes on Iran's sector for 10 more days till April 6th, which is on a Wednesday, Wall Street Journal reported that the Pentagon is looking to send up to 10,000 additional ground troops to the Middle East to give U.S. President more military options as he weighs in the peace talks with Tehran. It is unclear where precisely forces will go in, but they will likely be striking distance of Iran and Kharg Island, a crucial oil export hub off Iran's coast. Trump is repeatedly saying he will open the Strait of Hormuz with or without the allies. So, there it is. So you can see where it's all at. So you see the main islands there. And then you see this big Kharg Island. So he's suggested. Iran had requested a 10-day pause on strikes. Iran did? Or did Trump do it? Taco Thursday. Trump issues new 10-day timeline. It's hilarious. As per Iranian government request, this is what Trump is telling everybody. Please let the statement serve to represent that I am pausing the period of energy plant destruction by 10 days to Monday, April 6th, 2026 at, April 6th, not April 8th. Okay, so that's on a Monday. Talks are ongoing despite erroneous statements to the contrary. So, like everything else, he's calling it fake news. Hilarious, isn't it? Iran slams U.S. and Israeli bullies as Pentagon weighs final blow against Tehran. U.S. President claims that talks with Iran are ongoing very well and delayed strikes on Iranian power facilities for another 10 days, while Israeli state intensified its strikes and the Pentagon reportedly mulls additional deployments to the region. Where it really, that's what the extra 10,000 are about. You're mulling it, all right. IDF conducted a wide-scale bombing raid in the heart of Tehran and elsewhere across Iran overnight. Although Trump once again claimed during a White House cabinet meeting on Thursday that progress is being made in negotiations, Department of War is deploying up to 10,000 additional ground troops to the Mideast. The new deployment would add 2,000 elite paratroopers and up to 5,000 Marines already en route to the region. So, like everything else, though, yeah, you can say it's escalation. Yeah, so here we go. Trump pauses destruction of Iran's energy plant by 10 days amid ongoing negotiations. Well, if you believe that they're negotiating, yeah, you may believe it, but Satan wouldn't lie, right? You know, this guy doesn't lie. So, yeah, says one thing, does another. You gotta laugh at this shit, right? Iran says no talks with the U.S., which has failed its war goals, warns of relentless response to any island campaign. They're ready. Iranian foreign minister says there have been no talks with the U.S., wants a permanent end to the conflict. Tehran demands a permanent end to the war and compensation for the destruction. Ghalib warns against island campaign. Central Command says nearly 300 U.S. military terrorists have been injured in the war. 3,000 elite Army airborne soldiers and Marines still en route after Trump said Monday Iran has been destroyed militarily. Iran is tightening control of Hormuz, demanding detailed ship data and in some cases large peaceful passage. Well, they have a right to do it because you know the U.S. and the Israeli state ain't going to pay them for the damages. How else are they going to get compensation? Iran continues to say it's ready for the long war, monitors U.S. troop movements. Do not test our resolve to defend our land, they also warn. So, like everything else, yeah, we're going to see some shit very soon. Trump says seizing Iranian oil is also an option amid ongoing war. Well, yeah, it's been about the oil anyways. President Trump has said that seizing all Iranian oil remains an option as the war between the U.S., Israeli state, and Iran continues. Speaking during a cabinet meeting at the White House, Trump told reporters that taking control of Iran's oil resources is being considered, though he did not provide further details. It's an option on the table, he said, also referring to the U.S. involvement in oil sectors such as Venezuela. Iranians are begging for a deal, not me, he said, describing them as good negotiators. I mean, bullshit alert, right? Chump shit. American military structure in the region has collapsed. U.S. forces under close watch. So, they know about them hiding in hotels. Iran military is closely monitoring U.S. terrorists across the region. Senior spokesman for Iran Armed Forces said on Thursday, asserting that the American terrorist structure in West Asia has collapsed in the shortest possible time. He said the U.S. personnel are now forced to abandon certain military bases and take refuge in civilian hotels, a move that he condemned as an attempt by the U.S. to use civilian structures for military cover. The Americans who once relied on their military bases to establish a presence are now hiding in hotels and relying on civilian areas of our region as a protective shield, he said. This marks a humiliating retreat and an admission of their inability to defend themselves. He said the American terrorists are no longer able to sustain military presence in several regions of West Asia, citing the destruction of key U.S. bases. We have dismantled 17 bases in the region, and they have failed to protect their forces and their installments, he stated, adding that the failure of U.S. military plans is a significant blow to American credibility. Yeah, they have no credibility left. And that's why all these others are like, what's in it for us? You just turn tail and run. And then you're going to hide in civilian infrastructure. If Iran wants to, they will bomb civilian infrastructure just to go after them. They're putting us at risk. That's the way that they should be looking at it. But they've all been complicit, with what's going on in Gaza. They don't do anything about Gaza or the West Bank or anything else the Israeli state's doing. They're allowing the Israeli state to occupy all those lands. Why? Because they've been offered a large sum of money. If the Israeli state controls that, they're all complicit. And they're all to blame for what's happening. Israeli chief of staff warns their army is nearing internal collapse amid full multi-front war. Exactly. They're exhausted. Israeli chief of staff has warned that the army is approaching collapse from within amid mounting pressures in the ongoing war on multiple fronts, including Iran and Hezbollah. Speaking at a security meeting, Zamir said the military is facing deepening internal crisis, particularly linked to severe manpower shortages. So they're running short. He noted that the army is currently operating across multiple active fronts, including Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and the West Bank, with troop requirements continuing to rise. So, like everything else, though, they're exhausting all their forces. They're thinning out. They're on blood thinners, you could say. U.S.-Israeli missile defense on the brink as interceptor stocks near critical depletion. So they've exhausted just about everything. Even the drones that Ukraine has helped them with, not enough. New reports warn that the U.S. and Israeli regime are facing a logistical crisis in the military aggression against Iran, with interceptor inventories projected to run out within days or weeks. According to the report, Israeli stockpile of aeroballistic missile interceptors could be fully exhausted by the end of March. Oh, well, that's only a few days. Only a few days away from losing its primary exo-atmospheric defense capability. The U.S., on the other hand, has faced a comparable strain on its THAAD interceptor inventory, which could be depleted within a month if current expenditure rates continue. So, they're just totally running out.
اگه از امروز ما شروع بکنیم هر هفته یه رونمایی از یه شهر مشکل داشته باشیم، هر هفته تا 2 سال دیگه تموم نمیشه. انقدر زیاده.
So like everything else, they don't even get a chance to rebuild. They've totally been wiped out. So I've got one more here from another brother, just breaking down World War III and Ezekiel 38. So we already know what Ezekiel 38 is, but Joel gives you a shorter breakdown, but tells you where the valley is, which is right there. What you're looking at, what you've been reading about lately, that's exactly where everything is at. And you're seeing that eventually it's going to expand, better known as the Gog-Magog War or Armageddon. But the Valley of Jehoshaphat is right there where all these armies are being gathered, right? Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will gather all the nations and bring them down to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, return your recompense upon your head. You know, and that's just it. The Most High is recompensing Esau and all the nations for what they've done. Verse 9, proclaim this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And so there it is. And where are they coming? Right there. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I am strong. So, like everything else though, these weaker nations, like Iran was supposed to be a third world country, now showing to be one of the largest countries in the world, which the U.S. can't even penetrate them, and everything looks to be certain doom. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen. Gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause the mighty ones to come down. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. So, what's that talking about? That's talking about that everybody's going to be in this war. Multitudes and multitudes in the valley of the decision. For the day of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai is near in the valley of decision. This is where he's, World War III does erupt, And we're seeing the beginning of World War III as this is really breaking it down, in just a shorter chapter. But Ezekiel 38 also goes into more, so I'm just going to play this brother's video before I close this out. Then I want to say, Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash, Wa Abal Babal. Brakatam, Jehovah Elect, Shalom.
Give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash. Give honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who were well, and salutation and much love to the Akim out there pushing out his word in truth and sincerity. This is the brother Ox from Great Millstone, Tampa, back with another lesson. Lord's will is going to be edifying to the hopeful elect. As you see the title, World War III News, in Ezekiel 38. All right, I'm going to play some videos. Fair use, all right, Fair Use Act. Just showing you what the mainstream media is not going to go into. This World War is a world. We're at a point of World War, all right, and I'm going to show you some information that the guy's going to bring out on Midas News. But here, real quick, this article, because Israel hits Iran's Caspian port used for Russia arms transfer in first ever strike. This was yesterday. So if you know where the Caspian Sea is, all right, it's pretty much connects Russia to Iran, all right, and they have ports here. So this is Russia and this is Iran. So clearly they can bring in ships through here to bring in, supposedly they're bringing in, not supposedly, they've admitted it, all right, that they've been helping out Iran. So we'll get to the video here in a second. So, and this was biblical prophecy, all right, a prophecy about Gog and future invasion of Israel. It says, Ezekiel 31, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, which is Russia, the chief priests of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them. Yeah, because ultimately the Lord's against Russia as well. He's just using them, right, the feet of the bear, to bring the beast down, ultimately to destroy Babylon the Great. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, putting the Russians back in the old USSR spirit. That's why they invaded, which me personally, I believe that's when the war started. So let's say if this place was to go on until the next generation, just like we can look back into World War I and World War II history of how it began and progressed over the time, beginning with one country invading another, and then so on and so forth. So all the countries were involved, or many countries were involved. It's pretty much when the triggering point was for this war, when Russia invaded Ukraine. And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And here's the point: Persia, which is Iran, they still to this day call themselves the Persians. Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, right? And that's what we're seeing. These countries are gearing up for, well, not gearing up for, they're already at war. What do you mean gearing up for war? They already at war. It says Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, which is Turkey, which is, we've seen them lately getting involved, all right, or you're hearing them on this, concerning this war in the Middle East. And now you have Iraq getting involved. Iraq's at a full-blown war as well now. All right, they're attacking U.S. military bases All right, they're hunting down Americans, and so this is going to connect to. So you got a war in the Ukraine-Russia war. You got the war in the Middle East, which is pretty much involving everybody in the Middle East. You got Pakistan and Afghanistan going at it. Then you have other skirmishes going on around the world, and soon Asia is about to get involved. You know, Eastern Asia, China, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, North Korea. So all this is culminating to the end of the War of Armageddon, which ultimately you see how they're all converging in the Middle East. So keep going. It says, "Be thou prepared, prepare thou for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be a guard unto them." So Russia is being a guard already. It's via sending them the drones, all right, sending them satellite images to help the Persians or the Iranians, the Armenians, attack American bases, which they pretty much obliterated them. So let's play this guy here.
All hell is breaking.
They bring out good information here, and of course you always got to filter everything out through the scriptures and look it up, the information up yourself, which I have done. So let's go. Fair use.
As Russia has entered Donald Trump's war against Iran.
And it's official. They've already admitted it, and he's going to bring it out. So let's just let it play.
In a big way, Russia ain't hiding the fact that it has been sending drones to Iran, along with satellite imagery, targeting data, and intelligence support that has been crippling to the United States. And Vladimir Putin.
But you listen to the mainstream media here, you think that it's easy peasy lemon squeezy over there for America. They're over there getting their asses whooped. Yeah, of course they're bombing the hell out of Iran. Of course they are. But they didn't expect this kind of retaliation. They didn't expect Iran to come out swinging like they did, and with the weaponry that they have and the capabilities of it. All right, Jeremiah 50:22, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. It's not looking good for America. Americans looking weak. Here it is, they boasted with all their military might, and now their ships out there are sitting ducks. Their militaries have been completely, or not completely, but utterly uninhabitable. All right, you got the soldiers hiding and running through. How is verse 23? How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Through
Lavrov and Yushakov and Dmitriev, the crew that keeps on meeting with Witkoff and Kushner, who keep getting more concessions out of the United States. They're out there bragging and boasting that the United States military bases throughout the Middle East have been obliterated. You want to use the word obliterated, Donald? New York Times is reporting how Iran just wrecked all of America's Gulf bases. Kuwait gutted.
We're winning. That's what Trump said. We're winning so much we don't know what to do. That dude's a complete clown. But again, this is all set up because ultimately they're all in cahoots. All the world leaders are all in cahoots together to get this new world order going, get this new digital system going. That's why they're destroying the markets. All right, and it was strategic for them to destroy the oil or the crude oil, the petrol or the petroleum, because now look at all these countries. They're having to make rations and cutting back. There's lines and lines in India and the UK and Taiwan and Philippines and Vietnam. All these countries are being affected because of this war. So this is going to push more and more countries into getting involved. All right, it's going to be all-out chaos around the world, and it's already begun. It's a snowball effect, and the snowball has gotten bigger and it's moving faster going down that hill. Meanwhile, they got billions and billions to send, $200 billion to send to for this war, but they ain't got $5 to give you. Pathetic.
With collapsed roofs and smashed radar, 17 U.S. sites have been hit in the Middle East region, $800 million or more in damage in weeks. Our troops have basically abandoned all of the American military bases in the Middle East. May I repeat that? Our troops have abandoned basically all of the military bases in the Middle East, and now they are working remotely from hotels, while Iran is utilizing a spy network to try to find which hotels U.S. troops are at to target those hotels. As Anthony Scaramucci writes, a forever basing empire is a $1 trillion liability. Time for a lean Navy over-the-horizon posture before the next war bleeds us dry.
And remember, as we speak, there's military troops on the way to the Middle East. So what do you think is next? The meat grinder. And guess what? The Iranians, they waiting. They hiding in the little trenches. They're hiding in the mountains. They're setting booby traps up. They waiting for you, you bumbling idiots, to make it over there. All right, you got the Marines, the strong, the proud, the few, the through. All right. Then you got the 82nd Airborne paratroopers. All right. Yeah, they're gonna go floating into the abyss. All right, parachute right into the destruction. Through.
Next one, Anthony. How about this right here? I mean, I'll throw up this B-roll right here. You want to see how they are developing or have already developed the military of the future in China right here with these drone swarms? You see, unlike the United States, that has continued to build these outdated THAAD and Patriot systems, which...
Yeah, see, they're outdated. The American military, yeah, it had a lot of might, but now it's when push comes to shove, it's fine. The world's finding out that them shits is outdated. They're through. They're too expensive to keep replenishing. That's why the hammer of the earth is starting to look weak. Matter of fact, let's get some other translations here. Because the world is watching. China and Russia, they're sitting back and they're just, helping Iran from the sideline, They're they're just taking notes right now. And we know that the world led by Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and then eventually America's own allies are going to shoot missiles on space. So we've already seen that their defense systems are trash. So what do you think is going to do? How are they going to stop intercontinental ballistic missiles, the hypersonic missiles? They ain't. That's biblical prophecy. NLT Babylon, the mightiest hammer in all the earth, right? The mighty military. Yeah. Lies broken and shattered. Yeah, your lies your deceit has been discovered. Your lies have been broken. Babylon is best led among the nations. We had the toughest military. They don't look like it. That's why your military men are cowering and running from the military bases. That's why military men are smoking weed so they don't have to go to war. Well, guess what? They changed the laws now. That's why they're clogging toilets on the aircraft carriers so they don't have to go to war. Yeah, but these are the toughest military men on the planet. That's a joke. You think these Russians, North Koreans, and Iranians are pussing out? No, they ready to die for their country. They love their country, and then you incentivize them by killing their supreme leader, was equivalent to the Pope to them, right? Which he doesn't run the country, so I don't know why you would kill him. He was the Ayatollah, which is like the high priest to them. So what the hell? He gonna kill him and his whole family? The nigga was already dying of some kind of cancer, so he was ready to go, and then you're just gonna light the flame under their ass. Well, again, it's all set up. This is all a scheme. At the end of the day, they're all doing this, purpose. This is. Like we say, the scriptures say, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. The AMP says, how the hammer of the whole earth is crushed and broken. Yeah, they're being crushed and broken over there in the Middle East. And guess what? Keep sending them troops over there. And we'll find out even more how crushed they're going to get. How Babylon has become a horror of desolation among the nations. So let's go back to this.
We forced on and pushed on the Middle East allies and others. These drone swarms and the drone interceptors, because that's how wars are fought now in 2026, have been perfected by China. And China has been boasting and bragging throughout this entire week by showing these videos about just how successful their preparedness is for the battle of the future. Just take a look at this New York Times article about how successful Russia has been at transferring this data to Iran to target these American bases, while Donald Trump continues to be a Putin bootlicker publicly. Now, the New York Times doesn't say, oh, well, Russia gave these coordinates. Just put together the Financial Times story about Russia just announcing that it's doing this, and the New York Times story, and it's obvious what is taking place right here. Just take a look right here what the New York Times article says. Many of the 13 military bases in the region used by American troops are all but uninhabitable. Iran has bombed U.S. bases across the Middle East in retaliation for the U.S. war, forcing many American troops to relocate to hotels and office bases throughout the region, according to military personnel and American officials. By the way, this is leaking out because...
Yeah, and then when you see a drone hit in the middle of UAE or some Iraq or Kuwait, and then the American media will say, oh, look at them, how they're killing residential buildings and blah blah blah. Well, no, they're precisely attacking the soldiers and the CIA agents out there, because why? They're getting intel from the Russians, as they've already admitted. So they're not attacking random people, civilians like America and Israel does. And as a matter of fact, what is Israel doing in South Lebanon right now? Well, there's another war. I just seen a video earlier today. The Hezbollah was waiting for them to ambush them niggas because they're pushing forward. They're pushing north in Lebanon. So there's another. There's fronts on every side. They're fighting a war in Lebanon. They're fighting a war in Gaza. Right? They're fighting now. Iraq is exploding, which I've got a video lined up to show you about that. Now you got the Houthis ready to go to block off the Red Sea very soon. Then you got to worry about the Iranians sending missiles. So there's no going back. There's no going back. All right. There's no peace deals. There's no negotiations. Nothing's bringing this to an end anytime soon, until the missiles obliterate Babylon the Great. The day of the Lord will be the end of this war. Ezekiel 7:25, it says, destruction cometh, and they shall see peace, and there shall be none. So there is no going back. No amount of peace talks. And Iran ain't having it. They said, what are we going to talk for? Every time we talk, y'all bomb us anyway. NLT, terror and trembling will overcome my people. They will look for peace but not find it. Yeah, that's going to come to the whole earth. When anguish comes, they of Judah shall see peace, but there shall be none. Yeah, this is twofold, but NET, terror is coming, they will seek peace but find none. It's over. This is just the beginning of sorrows. Things are going to get a lot worse because this is leading to an economic collapse globally. Food shortages, pestilence, all right, civil unrest. Because people in America don't want to be dealing with this war. They don't want to go to war. That's why a draft is going to come. And they keep moving the age limits. So you might be men out there, you tough guys at the gym, be looking at yourselves in the mirror and shit, get ready to go to war, and you won't be coming back.
Our commanders, our military leaders in the Middle East are trying to send messages back home for us to hear them what a freaking disaster this war is. We hear you. We know the message you're trying to send. That's why we're making a video about it right here to educate the people how Donald Trump has thrown you all under the bus and now you're all out. Big story, right? And all our military bases are abandoned right now, and our soldiers and troops are hiding in hotels. So now much of the land-based military is in essence fighting the war while working remotely, with the exception of fighter pilots and crews operating and maintaining war plans and conducting strikes. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has urged people to report these new locations as it hunts for the dispersed troops. U.S. military officials say that the threat is not stopping the Pentagon from carrying out the war against Iran, which is in its fourth week. Many of the 13 military bases in the region used by American troops are all but uninhabitable, with the ones in Kuwait, which is next door to Iran, suffering perhaps the most damage. 6 U.S. service members were killed in a strike on Port that destroyed an Army Tactical Operations Center. Iranian drones and missiles also targeted the Ali al-Salam Air Base, damaging aircraft structure and injuring personnel at Camp Buring.
This is what happens when you underestimate your opponent. When they start beating your ass, all right, and throwing roundhouse kicks, you thought it was going to be a boxing match. Nope. Now they doing what they've been training to do for decades. All right. You thought they was just going to roll over and play dead. Nope. Now you find out the hard way. Joel, let me just get straight to, well, I started 9. Joel 3 and 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. And this was already been prepared. They've been preparing for a long time. Wake up, the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And this is what we're seeing. Thousands and thousands of troops are being sent to the Middle East. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. You think Iran ain't been doing that? They got whole cities on the ground with thousands and thousands and thousands of missiles and drones, hypersonic missiles, all kind of missiles, cruise missiles, duds, Scud missiles, duds, all kind of things, drones, the Shihad drones or whatever. It says, let the weak say, I'm strong. You thought Iran was just another Iraq or Afghanistan, all right, or Venezuela. Yeah, you fucked around and found out. You know, and I spoke to a high-level official that works in Central Command, and before this actually happened, all right, he said, oh, it's going to be easy, just like in Venezuela, because he's proud. He actually believes the nonsense that they have sold him. And I said, bro, Iran ain't no Venezuela. He said, oh, it's going to be easy. We're going to go into Iran and get blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, bro, we'll see. And then look, I ain't seen that nigga since. He had to swallow his pride, so he'll see me soon up.
Maintenance and fuel facilities in Qatar. Iran struck the Al Udeid Air Base, the regional air headquarters of U.S. Central Command, damaging an early warning radar system in Bahrain. A one-way Iranian attack drone struck communications equipment at the headquarters of the U.S. Fifth Fleet. At Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, Iranian missiles and drones damaged communications equipment and several refueling tankers and boats. This data, these strike targets, these resources are coming from Russia. I don't know. You know who was saying it? The foreign minister of Iran 3 weeks ago, Arabchi. He was asked, remember I showed you the clip? Who was helping you? China and Russia. You sure? Yes.
There you go, Ezekiel 38. They're being a guard to them. They're helping them. They're playing defense right now, all right? Helping them with the defense systems, right? They've been helping them with the S-300s. I'm not sure if they ever give them S-400s, but at this point, I wouldn't doubt it. Or they will get it soon. And again, the Caspian Sea is right there. They could just float, and that's why Israel just struck them for the first time. So Israel is escalating this. Now, hey, the least of the flocks, I'll draw them out. Hey, you keep fucking with that Russia, they're going to do something. Eventually they will. We know it's not going to be full escalation to thermonuclear destruction right away, because the mark of the beast still hasn't been mandated globally, but things are escalating. The Lord is speeding things up for the elect's sake. All right. Of course, the Lord said that you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. At this point, there's not much rumors. Which, if you go into the word rumors, it goes into news, right? But now it's full on escalation. Yeah, Russia and America haven't directly gone into war with each other, with soldiers shooting at each other, missiles shooting at each other, but by proxy, via proxy, they're fighting each other. So, and China is just sitting back and watching, taking notes.
What are they doing? Militarily, economically, politically? The guy said it out loud. Well, I appreciate that the Financial Times is reporting about it now. But he said it 3 weeks ago. That's what I was talking about here.
And of course, these guys, these YouTubers, podcasts, they bring out information. But guess what? We said it first. We said all of this first. So this ain't breaking news to us. We prophesied this beginning with the elder apostles, the great millstone, decades ago. All right? So this ain't news to us. We can sit back reporting on it now because we've already prophesied it. You're not prophesying, you're not a prophet, like Apostle Hardy said recently.
So, according to the Financial Times, citing officials briefed on the matter, Russia is sending these phased shipment of drones, medicine, and food to Iran. Deliveries began early March. They're continuing to right now. As John M. Lariar explains, this is notable because earlier yesterday, news broke that Israel struck a key node for the Russo-Iranian trade networks, the Bandar Anzali port on the Caspian Sea, striking...
That's that article I just brought out.
Hubs, warships, and shipyard infrastructure. And by the way, take a look at the map though where the Caspian Sea is. You'll see it's like right there between Iran and Russia. So it's right. We've been focusing on the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf, right? You go a little bit more west, and that's where you have the Red Sea. But you go a little bit more north, and you have the Caspian Sea right there, right? And that's that sea essentially connecting Iran with Russia. So in the past 24 hours, we saw Israel striking ships in the Caspian Sea. Why? Because Russia has been giving Iran all of these weapons. I believe China has been as well, but I think there's a more reluctance to strike at China right now. So when I say the world is literally in a war right now, whether you choose to call that a world war or not, can we observe?
Yeah, at this point, you can call it whatever the fuck you want. Just because Trump ain't saying it's a war. This is war. This is World War III. It's already begun. There's no going back. The cat's out the bag. Pandora's box has been opened. All right? This is the third woe the scriptures speak about. All right? Let's get that real quick. Revelation, what is that, 12 or 11? Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past, the second world war, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, and it's here, and it's escalating quickly. All right. Again, the Lord is shortening up the days for the elect's sake. We got to get out of here, man. Everything's defiled. This whole world is crumbling. You see, the NLT, the second terror is past, but look, the third terror is coming quickly. Yeah, you people are going to be in terror, all right. But what? We're going to be stable, as the scripture says in Isaiah 33 and 6. Knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy time. That's why people are freaking out. Oh my God, I don't want to go to war. While we laughing, right? Because we know this was coming. We knew it. All right. A prudent man foreseeth evil, and he hideth himself. But the simple pass on and is destroyed. Guess where we hiding at? In the strong tower, the name of the Lord. And these people Jesus ain't helping them. Allah ain't helping them. Buddha ain't helping them. Nobody helping them.
What is actually happening. I'll give you more data points on that as well. Additionally, to those who think that Russia sending drones back to Iran is foolish, due to Iran being the original producer of the Shahed drones, wrong. Russia has onshore production for much of its Shahed supply during the ongoing Russian-Ukrainian war.
Right, they got the technology from the Iranians that they've been using in Ukraine, but Russia is able to mass produce them at a far higher level than Iran can. So they helping them back out. You helped us, we're going to help you. As Ezekiel 38 said, they're going to be a guard unto them. And not just Persia. There's many countries that Russia's going to help. Because this is about to be a full escalation, okay? A lot of countries are about to be involved. Just stay tuned.
And such measures have allowed them to produce and field Shaheeds at a massive scale. So you know how like car companies, right? Japanese car companies, right? They have factories in the United States. There are Taylor plants and Hyundai plants, right? There are Shahed drone plants in Russia where they manufacture these. So when the U.S. is striking the Shahed drone plants, say in Iran, they're being brought over through the Caspian Sea from Russia to Iran. And also, Iran keeps a lot of its Shaheeds underground in these structures that almost look like super malls, but they're underground. And that's where Iran keeps its ballistic missiles and Shahed drones. So it's just worth mentioning that as well. Meanwhile, the past 24 hours, President Zelensky, who courageously, heroically, and against all odds, continues a strong counteroffensive to intercept drones, they also else in the world. And one of the things that Zelensky's saying is, hello, we know this for a fact that Russia sought to blackmail the United States by offering to stop sharing military intelligence with Iran if Washington whiskey and not Putin for regime removing the sanctions for Russian oils. Russia's been able to make billions and billions of dollars, destroy the European Union. Now, if you look at the Hungary elections coming up,
the EU's finished, NATO's done, and somebody put it on the come board. Eventually, they're going to turn on the whore. Let's see here. You got Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, which is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Okay? EU sitting back and like, damn, what the fuck is going on? This nigga trying to drag us into, the madman from the West. All right? Donnie T, Dementia Donnie, trying to say, oh, where's the NATO allies? Useless. They're not coming to help us. We help them. They're not helping us. Blah, blah, blah. Well, he just keep digging the hole deeper and deeper. All right? Why? Because he's proud. His pride has deceived him. Okay, and he's that cruel Lord in Isaiah 19. Isaiah 19 and 4, and the Egyptians will like give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, that's Donald Trump, and the fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. All right, this demon Donnie T is not only leading America into World War III because he's been drawn out from the small hats, but he's also bringing hell upon you here in America with ICE at the airports. Now the economy's fucked, and he don't give a damn about you people. And now MAGA all complaining and shit. Nobody cares. Nobody's here. Nobody's coming to your rescue. And that's why, the second verse, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. Civil war is coming. All right? It is in the NLT. Let's see here. Let's see. NIV. Or maybe it's the GNT, actually. Oh, the AMP, maybe. Nope. I'll get in the GNT here in a bit. Let me just finish this. It says, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So America, you got to be in some turmoil here, political turmoil, as the GNT says in the second Esdras. All right, was it 15? Let's see here. Let me get my GNT up. Let me see. In second Esdras 16, or sorry, second Esdras 15 and verse 16 says there will be great political turmoil with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. And then it got the midterms coming up. America's about to be in all-out chaos, and you're still going to have to send troops to the Middle East. So men are going to start disappearing, all right? Second Esdras 16 and 33. This place is finished, man. But what? We the only ones that are going to be protected. Thus saith the Lord, all right? Because what? We fear the Lord. We feared him, so now he's gonna. We feared and served him, of course. And now the Lord's going to take care of us. All right? Psalms 34:7. The angel of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai encampeth round about them that fear him and delivered them. We want to be delivered from all these sorrows and perils that are coming. Of course, we're going to have to go through the hour of temptation. All right, we're gonna be right here while it's all crumbling, but we're gonna have faith, and the Lord's gonna take care of us. Simple as that. All right, the Lord got us. We're gonna eat while people starve, and we ain't going to. We're not scared to get drafted. If you come, fuck off. What you gonna do? And they know not to come get us. So what they gonna put? Here it is. We're on the back, extremist group list, right? On the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they gonna come get us and put guns in our hands? No, don't be ridiculous. And if they do, I'm gonna do like King David did and act retarded.
Those elections are set for April 12th, right? J.D. Vance making the final pitch for Putin's guy in Hungary. What Biden will, it'll be in the midterms here. But Russia has inflicted, so when Donald Trump's like, Russia, we see the damage that Russia has inflicted. We've been eviscerated in the Middle East in terms of our military bases. You also have Russia mocking the social media posts that have been made by Donald Trump. So RT, which is Russia's propaganda, this is what they post. White House mistakenly posts nuke launching soon. What the FUCK are you tweeting? That's what Russian propaganda. They're mocking Trump because Trump's White House posted a cryptic video that makes like a ding. This is a real post on the Instagram and other social media channels like X, formerly Twitter, of the White House. Play this clip. And here's this other strange video posted by the White House that Russia was calling out and saying, what the F is this? Here, play this clip.
It's interesting, right?
What are we doing? What the hell is going on with our country? I mean, seriously, what the hell is going on?
What the hell is going on is America's finished. It's over. The curtains are closing. The show's over. Well, you thought America was going to go on forever? This is the 250th year, right? 250-year anniversary? Well, guess what? This could very well be the last year of Babylon, all right? Lord's will. The time is ticking. The sands of the hourglass are running out. It's cooked. Stick a fork in it.
People running our country. They're running it into the ground.
Yes,
Not
sir.
sure if you knew about this, but yesterday the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution on the enslaved.
And this goes to show you the spirit. This is the spirit of Yahweh Bashim outside. So everybody's, oh my God, look what's going on. People getting blown up. But hey, never forget about the H cost, right? The small hats getting burned up allegedly. But now the spirit of the Lord the United Nations voted on this, and only 3 nations voted nay, which you'll see he's going to explain it. Don't forget about what you did to the Lord's chosen people, the Israelites. That's what they was voting on the UN, the General Assembly. That's the Lord putting it. Yeah, this is why this is all happening. This is why the world's in shambles. This is why the Lord's beginning to visit the earth, because what you have done unto his chosen. All right, now it's time for you to reap what you own sowed.
Of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity. Resolution on the enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity.
Yeah, when they're talking about Africa, they're talking about the Southern Kingdom. All right, but hey, well, that AI video that Iran sent out the other day. What was the first thing they showed? The Native Americans. Yeah, so you enslaved the Africans, you enslaved the Latinos, the indigenous, right? And the indigenous in the Americas. The indigenous on the North, Central, and South Americas and the Caribbean islands. And then you brought the so-called Negroes over here. Yeah, don't forget about that. This is why these things are happening.
123 countries voted in favor to say that, yes, enslavement of Africans was one of the greatest crimes against humanity. But the U.S., Israel, and Argentina were the only countries that voted against it.
Of course, where all the small hats are controlling. Because Argentina's full of them damn gutter rats. Allegedly, that's where Hitler went.
Argentina voted against the idea that enslavement.
All right, that's pretty much it. I wanted to bring out on that. You can check the rest out if you want. Here's what's going on in Iraq. So a blown-out war is starting in Iraq again. Who do you think they're siding with? They're siding with Iran, the Shiite Islam, all right, Muslims, the Shiite Muslims.
Tensions are rapidly escalating in Iraq as American citizens are now being told to leave immediately. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad has issued an urgent advisory warning of growing threats for rocket and drone attacks across Iraqi airspace. According to the embassy, Iran-backed militias are now actively targeting U.S. citizens and Americans.
See, Iran-backed Shiite Muslims or Shia Muslims, whatever the hell they are. They're all Islamic anyway, whatever faction that is. But now they're targeting civilians and U.S. soldiers. All right, and this is in Iraq, not Iran, which is next door to Iraq. I mean Iran, but see, this is escalating. This is spreading like a wildfire, and there's no stopping it.
According to the embassy, Iran-backed militias are now actively targeting U.S. citizens and American-linked installations inside Iraq. The advisory also urges the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and consulate in Erbil, citing serious and ongoing security risks. This sharp escalation follows a series of deadly airstrikes earlier this week that killed fighters belonging to the Popular Mobilization Forces.
There you go. So they've been attacking. They've been fucking up with what's it called? With these Iraqis over there. Well, now they've had enough of it. They've already been in 2003, 23 years of dealing with these devils. Now they're sick of it. All right, they're drawing the line. All right, let's get some real quick. So let me get another video. All right, because again, who's gonna go fight all these Arabs, these Carmenians? Who's gonna fight these Muslims, these Islamic people? They're the boogeyman, right? Which this was part of Albert Pike's 3-war plan. Okay, and now we're seeing it unfold as we speak. So you Xbox playing, McDonald's eating losers over here, get ready to go to war. 2 Ezra 16:33. The virgin shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. You women are about to figure out that you do need a man. All right, check out the video I did earlier this week. And they're starting to find out already. But when all hell hits the fan and reality drop kicks you in the face, you're gonna realize that real soon. In the wars, their bridegrooms, in the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. How's that going to happen? Here you go. Let's see what it say.
Joining us, host of the Independent American podcast and founder and CEO of Independent Veterans of America, Paul Rykoff, and host of Puffs of Powers That Be podcast and Snapchats. Good luck, America, Peter Canby. Good luck, America, indeed, Peter.
Yeah, good luck.
Bring us into this focus group.
That's not just a clever name, as Wayne would say from Wayne's World. So, John, who you mentioned, great pollster, who focuses on the Gen Z vote, created this AI platform called Crowdvox. Put that aside. It's able to do focus groups at scale. And so I was talking to John, and I'm glad you pulled those quotes. I said, what do young men who voted for Donald Trump in 2024, remember, in exit polls, think about the war in Iran? Because I was flashing back.
Hey, you got all these YouTubers, podcasters that were all about Trump for years and years, and now they talking shit. Well, nigga, I get on the comment board and remind them, you voted for him. You voted for it. Don't complain now. Go defend the nigga that you voted for.
My campus travels during the campaign for my Snapchat show, talking to college students, and young men brought up over and over again, they were worried about foreign wars, they were worried about being drafted. Maybe that sounded silly, but Donald Trump won in part and built a coalition of young men, Hispanics, college-educated, white men, independent voters on top of MAGA, based on ending foreign wars and refocusing those commitments over here. And so there's a trust issue with young men, and these quotes you pulled, those are, by the way, Katie, the exact quotes that I pulled, utter disbelief from young men in these focus groups, again, conducted with an AI, John's AI voice, but done at scale, and he was able to isolate some of these quotes. Here's another one. This is from a guy named Austin, a 26-year-old white man in Pennsylvania.
White man.
Who said, just leave the country be and let them choose whoever they want. He was asked about regime change. Quote, why do we gotta put our noses in it, bro? For real, how about...
So he need to keep it at home. That's why. Let me get that real quick.
And as death cannot be satisfied, and heaps unto him all people.
Why? Let me just Google it because it shouldn't be tripping. You gotta word it exactly like it. Not it don't fire. Oh, so you need to keep this. That's why. So I guess Habakkuk. Habakkuk chapter 2. This is the problem with Babylon the Great. The hammer of the earth, right? Couldn't keep his nose, like the guy just said. Couldn't keep his nose out of nothing. Well, hey, now Iran punched you in the fucking nose, broke your shit. Now you're bleeding everywhere. Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. And this is right now clearly America, but this is all the Edomites, all right? America just happened to be Rome, the capital of these devils, but this has been going on for centuries. This devil just goes everywhere. He can't keep, the spirit ain't right in him. He can never be satisfied, right? He has insatiable thirst to see blood. It was as Ezekiel, since thou hast not hated blood shall pursue thee. You shed the blood of, first and foremost, the chosen people of the Lord, all right? The Negro, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the rape, rob, murder, slavery, whatever you want to call it, all right? And now you're going around the whole earth and bombing the shit out of everybody. You know, taking resources, and the nigga has no end in sight until the Lord got to stop him, all right? It says, but the just shall live by faith. Here's the point. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Come on, tell me these ain't some proud devils. Chief Trump is the embodiment of the Edomite spirit. It says, neither keepeth at home. See? This nigga can't just sit down. And he got to eat. First of all, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, but he wants more and more and more control. That's why he's going to ultimately implant everybody with that device. It says, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. That's the MO of the devil. Edom.
Worry about our own economic BS. And again, Trump was elected and won this demo on the cost of living, making the economy more accessible, making rent.
Yeah, now he duped you. You people got duped. Like I say, feel duped by Trump. Y'all people, you idiots, got duped. He said he was going to make America great again. America has become a shithole country. People can't afford gas, can't afford food, can't afford rent, can't afford shit. And now they're going to have to go to war? Hey, we told you.
Gas prices more affordable, and they feel betrayed. This comes up in polling over and over again. But the war is just one more example of that, Katie.
You know, it's true. They sound just like my 16-year-old. Paul, talk to me about, we started off with this generation grew up in the shadow of what you had to do in Iraq and Afghanistan, what folks like you had to do. The war was a mess. It was a mess. It cost a lot of American lives. It cost a lot of...
Yeah, well, too bad. So sad. You're just going to be mad, all right? It's over.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The Trump administration is threatening to intensify its attacks on Iran as the U.S. and Israeli assault enters its 27th day. On Wednesday, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt.
Yeah, here it is. Oh, it's going to be over in 4 hours. How many times this nigga say we won the war? God damn. This nigga won the war so many times. What the hell is going on? What's going on is America's finished.
Said, unless Iran agrees to surrender, they will be, quote, hit harder than they have ever been hit before.
Yeah.
The threat came as Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, once again denied President Trump's claims U.S. officials are negotiating with Iran for an end to the war.
For now, our policy is to continue resisting and to continue defending the country. At present, we have no intention of negotiating, and no negotiations have taken place. We want the war to end.
What is there to negotiate? What the hell they got to negotiate now? They ain't got nothing to negotiate. You already bombed the hell out of them. As he said, we're going to bomb the hell out of them. So there is no more negotiations, man. This is it. All right? And what is the outcome of this? The return of the Lord and thermonuclear destruction. Raining down upon Babylon. All right? Let's go to Jeremiah 51. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim outside, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. What's going to cause that? What's going to cause that? That destroying wind. It's right here.
Blackened is the end. Fire to get whippy dance of the dead. Blackened is the end. Hey, we're playing that song more often now. You dropped a bomb on me, baby.
That's what's going to cause that. And Jeremiah 51:2, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. All these nations are about to come up against America. They already are. Everybody's sick of America. Their allies, the Middle East, Asia, Africa, Australia. Everybody's looking at this devil, these Babylonians, with disgust and hatred. And against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. And against him that lifted himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. That's what's coming to Babylon the Great. So let's see. This just popped up. I guess it was a couple of minutes ago. Let's see here what they're saying. Breaking news. We do this on the fly. This was 5 minutes ago. Let's see what they're talking about.
Gotcha. Let's go ahead and put this up here on the screen. Some breaking news here from Barack Ravid, who is, of course, a White House scribe. Could it all be posturing? Certainly could, but we should take it seriously. He says the Pentagon is preparing for a quote, final blow of the Iran. I have never heard that word before in history, have I? Usually it accompanies a massive invasion.
Fair use once again. Fair use. Put this over here to the side so I can keep that going. Like here. Oh boy, here we go. I swear, these computers are something else.
Doesn't work out, it has to lead to another final blow, and just this time, it will break through the enemy. The Pentagon is developing military options for the final blow. A dramatic military escalation will grow more likely if no progress is made. They think a crushing show of force to conclude the fighting would create more leverage in peace talks for give Trump
exactly.
and declare victory.
A ground invasion.
Many of the scenarios would risk prolonging and intensifying the conflict. It would include potentially invading or blockading Kharg Island, invading Lara, an island that helps Iran solidify its control of the Straits of Hormuz, seizing the strategic island of Abu Musa, and two smaller islands which lie near the west.
Yeah, and that's like we mentioned earlier. That's going to be a slaughter. Go ahead and go to that Kharg Island. You're going to find out the hard way that your American troops is not the mighty men you thought they were.
Interests of the Strait are controlled by Iran, but also...
Don't they say the mighty men have forborne to go to war, roughly paraphrasing? These guys don't want to go to war. They signed up to the military to, play Xbox and eat good food on the military base, go around the world from base to base every other couple of years. Nigga, you signed up to the military. What do you think the military's for? It's for war. Why did they create militaries? To go to war? You thought you were just going to be chilling? No. Now take your punk ass over there to the Middle East to die.
By the UAE, and blocking or seizing ships that are exporting uranium oil on the eastern side of the Hormuz Strait. The military has also prepared a final plan.
Go back to Joel 3, and we ended up on 11, Joel 3 and 11. Assemble yourselves. That's what they're doing. Assembling the military, thousands and thousands of troops headed on. And there we got, 50,000, approximately 50,000 troops over there already in that region.
And they sent another 100,000 as well. You won't hear about it on the mainstream.
In the Caribbean, it was Spirit. I said, they're not doing this for no reason. And then one day, bam, in and out. And what do you think they're doing over there now? You think they're doing this for no reason? You know how much money it takes to amass troops over there or assemble them over there? That ain't free. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. And guess what? There's not just America over there. There's plenty of other nations over there already. You got the UK, they got bases out there. France got bases out there. China is sending ships out there. They're saying, oh, it's a medical ship. But you must not know what China capabilities are. They have a ship, a container ship, that is nuclear capable. And they can shoot missiles from it, but it just looks like a regular cargo ship. So that's what they're sending over there. And we already know what Russia's doing. We brought it out earlier. And gather yourselves together round about. Oh, I finished that. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's where this is all going down, the Middle East, right? The Levant. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. And it's real ripe right now. So guess what? The reapers are coming soon. Come get you down, for the press is full, the facts overflow, for their wickedness is great. Yeah, it's time for Esau to pay for all his crimes. And all these other nations, right? The Persians had us, they didn't do it as bad as Esau, but they had us in captivity, okay? So, hey, deal with it. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua is near in the valley of decision. And that's where this is all going down at. And we kept telling y'all, and you know, if people thought it was funny, we were crazy, and I was crazy. Huh? We were conspiracy theorists and all this. So, hey, yeah, guess what's coming very soon? The MOTB.
For ground operations deep inside the interior of Iran to secure the highly enriched uranium buried within nuclear facilities. Instead of conducting such a complicated and risky operation, they could also carry out large-scale airstrikes on those facilities to try to prevent Iran from ever accessing that material. Now, you put this together with all of the troops that are currently on their way to the region, and you could be reasonably confident that something like this could happen absent a huge diplomatic breakthrough in the next war.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. So, you know, Lord's will is edifying. I'm gonna give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Chakodash. Double honors to the elders. The great millstone, the elders and apostles, great millstone, but we're well, and salutation, much love to the Ashim out there pushing out this word, the truth, sincerity. Hey, shalom, much love to the elect of Israel. Shalom.